Higgs boson,
चंद्रशेखर लिमिट,
string theory,
न्यूट्रिनोस,
quantum entanglement.
कुछ समझा क्या?
Ever felt bored and confused while reading lengthy physics textbooks or articles?
Yeah, on God, bro.
I'm Arnav,
And I'm Pratham.
and welcome to Quark Talk, where we decode all the complexities and simplify these intricate concepts in physics.
They may have seemed too complex to understand until now.
Alright, Pratham, let's dive into a hot topic today temperature scales. And we'll begin with the Fahrenheit scale.
Oh, Fahrenheit. Living in India, I don't think it's ever made sense to any of us. I mean, water freezes
Yeah.
at 32 degrees. What's next? The boiling point of water is at 212. It's like a temperature scale that was invented by someone who hated logic.
I mean, it does seem arbitrary, but the story behind it is actually pretty fascinating. And no, it's not just salt, ice, water at 0 and body temperature at 100. That's just a watered down version you'll find on the internet. The real story has tragedy, rebellion, and science.
Sounds like the plot of a Christopher Nolan movie. So, where does it begin?
August 14, 1701, Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit was 15 years old when he lost both his parents to mushroom poisoning. Imagine that. One day you're a teenager and the next you're orphaned.
Huh? That's a rough start. And let me guess, this is the moment where he turns his pain into purpose?
Not quite. First, he ends up in Amsterdam as an apprentice bookkeeper, and he hated it. He ran away so many times that his employer literally put a warrant for his arrest.
Oh wow, so he went from future scientist to wanted fugitive in no time.
So while he was wandering across Europe trying to dodge the authorities, he stumbled across his true passion scientific instruments, especially thermometers.
Of course, because if you're on the run, why not get obsessed with precision tools?
Yeah, so random, nah? But it wasn't such a random fascination. He met Ole Romer in 1708, who was a Danish astronomer who was famous for calculating the speed of light, and that is finite.
Oh, Romer, acha, the guy with the Jupiter moon
Yeah.
observations, na? Yeah, that was some next level deduction.
And here's where it gets interesting. He also created his own temperature scale 6 years earlier. And let's just say it was unique.
Unique how?
So on Romer's scale, the water was supposedly freezing at 7.5 degrees Romer, whatever. And the human body temperature was 22.5 degrees and water boiled at 60 degrees.
Wait, what? Those numbers sound like a math teacher's nightmare.
I know, right? But Romer was an astronomer, and astronomers love these base 60 systems like dividing hours and minutes, right? To him, it made sense. The scale divided neatly for him. Freezing was 1/8 up the scale, body temperature was 3/8 up the scale, and boiling was at the top of the range.
I mean, that's oddly satisfying, but also like 7.5 degrees for freezing. Who ever thought that was a good idea?
I mean, Fahrenheit also thought it was weird, and he adopted Romer's scale, but he also made some adjustments to get rid of fractions. So he scaled up freezing to 8 from 7.5, and the body temperature from 22.5 to 24. And that's slightly better, right? But we're still not at the modern Fahrenheit scale yet. So what changed?
So this is where it gets mysterious. Later, Fahrenheit multiplied everything by 4 and he shifted it to 32 degrees for the freezing and 96 degrees for body temperature.
Why was he just like, let's just make things more confusing for future generations?
Honestly, we don't know. Maybe he wanted more precision. Maybe it was something more calculated. Or maybe just he liked even numbers.
Classic scientist move. Let's make this better but forget to tell anyone why.
Exactly. And that's how we ended up with the Fahrenheit scale that we know today.
Okay, so let me just get this straight. Fahrenheit started with personal tragedy, became a runaway, like running away from the authorities all the time. He got inspired by a Danish astronomer named Ole Romer, and he ended up giving us a temperature scale that baffles every non-American to this day.
That's about the gist of it.
Well, at least we can appreciate the history. And hey, next time someone complains about Fahrenheit, we can say, look, it's not arbitrary. It's just a bit eccentric.
I mean, eccentric is putting it mildly. But hey, at least it gives us a cool story to tell.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I mean, Fahrenheit was quite the legend back in the day. He wasn't just messing around with thermometers, his instruments were the gold standard.
Gold standard, huh?
Yeah, so if he made bad thermometers, wouldn't that be the room temperature standard?
Oh my god, that was such a bad joke, yaar. But yeah, something like that. He introduced mercury into thermometers, which was a game changer. Unlike alcohol, it has a way higher boiling point, so there are no more thermometers exploding in like the summers and the deadly heat of Delhi and Mumbai.
And despite being a genius, Fahrenheit was extremely secretive. He didn't leave a manual or a personal diary, or some of his methods are like still a mystery. Secretive genius though. That sounds like someone who'd accidentally delete his search history every day or go into incognito often.
Maybe. So, anyways, his scale is so precise that a 1 degree increase corresponds to a 1 part in 10,000 increase in Mercury's volume. So, was that intentional? Nobody knows. But let's be honest, this guy probably wasn't winging it.
Imagine him in school. What's 10,000 divided by 1? Fahrenheit. Let's just call it a genius and move on.
Oh, and about the famous 0 degrees on his scale, people say it's based on a salt ice water mix. But those mixtures don't always hit the expected temperatures.
So 0 degrees was just a vibe.
Yeah, pretty much. 0 was likely the coldest temperature he observed in winter, and then he calibrated it using brine for consistency.
So basically he just eyeballed it. Fahrenheit was
Yeah.
just out there free handling temperatures.
Well, his free handling was still miles ahead.
And now it's used in what? 4 places? The Cayman Islands, Belize, Bahamas, and like, oh my god, the United States of America.
Yeah, and that brings us to Celsius, the more global choice.
Oh yeah, Celsius kept it simple. Water freezes at 0, boils at 100. Done. Efficient.
Well, not quite. He didn't invent his own scale.
What?
That's exactly what I'm saying. He didn't invent his own scale. So he lived in Uppsala, Sweden, and he was an astronomy professor at the University of Uppsala. Super smart guy, but the scale wasn't entirely his.
Wait, so you're telling me Celsius didn't say 0 means freezing, 100 means boiling, and I'm taking the rest of the day off?
Nope. His scale was actually a modified version of an earlier thermometer by another scientist. Kind of like how Fahrenheit took over Romeo's scale and modified it.
So they're just taking credit for everything that other people are doing. That's cool, that's cool.
So in fact, the original Celsius scale was inverted. 0 was boiling and 100 was freezing.
What?
So if you're telling me, so what I'm telling you is that if Celsius saw us thermometers today, he'd be like, why is everything upside down?
Oh, pretty much. It wasn't until after his death that someone flipped it to what we use today, basically. Imagine making a scale and the world going, nah, let's just flip it. Celsius would have needed therapy.
Or a strong drink, preferably chilled to 0 degrees.
Or 100, depends on who's asking.
So Celsius had this idea of splitting the freezing and boiling points of water with a nice round 100 degrees. Simple, clean, and elegant.
Yeah, and his first observations were made on Christmas Day 1741. I mean, happy holidays to everyone, by the way.
Yep, Happy New Year also.
Yeah, festive, right? But here's where it gets weird. Did you notice anything off about his scale?
I mean, not really, unless you were telling me he measured Christmas turkey temperatures with it.
No, not quite. It's basically that it was upside down, right?
Yeah.
0 degrees was the boiling point of water and 100 degrees was freezing.
So that was basically like a practical joke, not even a scale, right?
Yeah, but there was a method to this madness. So Celsius was following someone called Delisle's scale. I'm pretty sure.
Delisle.
Yeah, I'm not pronouncing it right, but just go with it, okay?
Yeah.
It did the same thing. 0 at boiling and higher temperatures as you go down towards freezing.
So Delisle was the original upside down mastermind. Celsius just thought, hey, why not copy his homework?
Pretty much. The reasoning was surprisingly practical though. Sweden gets freezing temperatures all the time, but it's not exactly known for tropical heat waves, right? So by making freezing point 100, they avoided using negative numbers in their logbooks.
Avoiding negatives. Sounds like Celsius was the original glass half full kind of guy.
Or maybe just the logbook error-free kind of guy. Either way, Celsius stuck with his upside-down scale till he passed away in 1744 from tuberculosis.
Poor guy, imagine inventing a scale, I mean at least redeveloping or repurposing someone else's scale, then people flipping it after you've gone. That's legacy theft right there.
Well, the flipping wasn't random. In 1745, a new column in the Uppsala temperature records appeared under the heading Ekström. He was basically the instrument maker, the university's instrument maker, my bad. Then in 1747, another column appeared under Stromer, who succeeded Celsius as the professor of astronomy.
So Ekstrom and Stromer were involved in the flip, or were they just like making column headers for like time pass?
No, neither of them reversed it.
Bruh.
It turns out the guy who took credit for the flip was none other than Carl Linnaeus, the famous biologist.
Oh.
He claimed that he ordered an inverted thermometer from Ekström for his greenhouse.
So Linnaeus, the plant guy, He flipped Celsius' scale just to get his phones wouldn't get confused. What?
Something like that. But here's the twist. By 1745, there was already a thermometer in Uppsala using the modern scale. So Linnaeus might have not have been the first at all.
Come on. First Linnaeus flips the scale, then he steals credit or something. This story has more twists than a detective novel or like a Christopher Nolan movie.
I mean, it totally sounds like a Saas Bahu serial if you ask me. But it gets better. So in 1743, a year before Celsius died, a French scientist named Jean-Pierre Christin independently created a thermometer with 0 at the freezing point and 100 at the boiling point.
So Christian might have beaten Linnaeus and the other guy who we've not named yet to it. I mean, this is turning into a global thermometer race, bro.
Exactly. The Celsius scale we know today wasn't just Celsius's work. It evolved through contributions from Christian, Linnaeus, and like countless others.
So basically, Celsius apparently laid the groundwork, Linnaeus flipped the script, and Christian swooped in to finish the job. Basically a team effort?
Pretty much. The scale we use today is like a remix. Celsius's concept, Linnaeus's inversion, and Christian's refinement.
A remix, huh? Let's just hope the next version isn't Celsius 2.0 with subscription fees yearly.
Please, that was such a bad joke.
So, Pratham, quick question. If John Pierre Christian, or whatever his pronunciation is, was the one who technically finalized the Celsius scale, why don't we call it the degree Christian?
That's a good point, but here's the twist. For the longest time, nobody really called it Celsius or Christian. It was just the centigrade scale, because it had 100 steps between freezing and boiling.
Ah, centigrade. Fancy word for 100 steps. Why did they change it then?
Well, centigrade wasn't all that unique. In French, Spanish, and Italian, it also referred to 1/100th of a right angle. That's a lot of confusion for something as universal as temperature. So, in 1948, the International Bureau of Weights and Measures decided to rename it to avoid any mix-ups.
Ah, yes, the IBWM, cleaning up the world's messy measuring system since forever.
Exactly. And they decided on Celsius to keep it in line with the names like Kelvin and Fahrenheit.
Wow.
But here's the kicker. Celsius might not have been the best choice. A lot of people thought that Christian had a stronger claim. The popularity of Celsius' name came down to a German chemistry textbook from the 1800s by someone called Berzelius. You may have heard of him. He credited Celsius for defining the scale, even though Christian's version is what we actually use today.
So Christian did the heavy lifting, but Celsius got all the credit. Classic history is written by the popular guy's situation.
Pretty much. But to be fair, Celsius did bring something unique to the table.
Alright, what did he do that earned him this legacy?
Well, back in Celsius's time, measuring temperature was absolute chaos. There were over 30 temperature scales in use, and some thermometers had multiple scales crammed onto them.
So let me guess, room temperature back then was the depth of your wine cellar in Paris or something equally random?
You're not far off. They used something truly bizarre. Something that was truly bizarre for a reference point. So the melting point of butter, the temperature of a cow's stomach, or even the hottest day recorded in Italy. Like, it was like science was winging it back then.
Imagine doing a science experiment and saying, oh, the reaction happened at approximately Italy's highest recorded day or whatever, summer heat.
Right? But Celsius wasn't having any of that nonsense. He wanted a reliable universal system. So he worked out that melting snow maintains a constant temperature no matter where you are.
That's clever, right? Because snow doesn't care about altitude or humidity, it just melts at a set point.
Exactly. And he figured out how the boiling point of water changes with pressure, which was a game changer for calibrating thermometers anywhere in the world.
So his real contribution wasn't just the scale, it was creating the conditions for global consistency.
Precisely. He made temperature measurement reliable and shareable, which was a huge leap forward.
Okay, so even though the scale wasn't exactly what Celsius designed, his work made it possible for Christian to refine it and for the IBWM to later name it in Celsius' honor, right?
That's right. And fun fact, Celsius' scale isn't even based on water anymore.
Wow.
It's tied to the Kelvin scale, specifically the triple point of water, which is this magical state where water exists as a liquid, solid, and a gas simultaneously.
It's basically like a universal party trick by water. Love it, right? So what's the exact number for that?
273.15 Kelvin. That defines the size of 1 Kelvin, which is the same as the 1 degree Celsius as we know today. And from there, the Celsius scale just sets 0 as 273.15 Kelvin.
So technically, pure water doesn't freeze at 0 degrees Celsius anymore. It's something like negative 0.0001 degrees.
Exactly. And boiling isn't at 100 degrees either. It's at like 99.974 degrees. Precision is key after all.
Wow, we've gone from chaotic butter-based scales and wine cellar-based scales to microscopic decimal perfection. That's like a lot of progress.
And it's a reminder that even something as simple as a temperature measurement is the product of centuries of collaboration and refinement. Whether you see a degree Celsius, when you see a degree Celsius, you're looking at the legacy of Celsius, Christian, and basically countless other scientists who made it possible.
Like Carl also.
Yeah.
So the next time we complain about the weather being 40 degrees Celsius, we should thank Celsius for at least giving us a scale to grumble about.
Absolutely. Celsius didn't just make measuring temperature possible. He made complaining about it universal.